Hello, Kansas educators. Welcome to 2022. I'm Randy Watson, Commissioner of Education, and I wanted to be one of the first to welcome you to 2022, but also take a look back to 2021 and then talk about some of the exciting things that you'll be doing and will be doing across the state this upcoming school year. So first of all, thanks for 2021. I know how hard it was for all of us. We'll get into that in just a few minutes, but thank you for all your work in 2021. We did some remarkable things. Think about this. Pre-pandemic, we hit the highest graduation rate in the history of the state of Kansas. More kids graduating from high school than ever before in our history. We also hit the highest number of kids going on to earn a certificate, an associate degree, or baccalaureate, master's, or PhD in the history of our state. Over 50% of kids doing that. And then we know we had the pandemic hit. All that got put on pause a little bit as we've been dealing with a lot of other things. But as you look back to 2021, you might not have known some of the wonderful things that we all accomplished, including the task force on vaping and tobacco did some remarkable work trying to inform young people of the dangers of vaping and making significant progress in their efforts to curb vaping and really help young people understand the damages that could cause. A lot of thanks to that vaping task force as they continue to do really great work in helping you in schools with those tools that you need to help students and to help families. Also last year, the Kansas State Board of Ed School Mental Health Task Force passed some additional guidelines around bullying to assist school districts in that ongoing battle, as we know, to help students not be bullied in school and out of school and provide a safe and learning a warm environment for kids. So thank you to the School Mental Health Task Force. Thanks to all of you for your continued efforts around bullying. We also had a record amount of money flowing from the federal government into the state in the form of what we call ESSER money, 3 pots of money, 1, 2, and 3, and 2 pots of money called EANS money to our private schools for help during the pandemic. To make sure that money was spent according to the law and effectively, I established a task force made up of educators, people in the legislature. Jim Porter chairs that task force. They meet multiple times a month, making sure that the money that was to be spent to help students throughout the pandemic are being spent for the purpose that the federal government had in mind. Thank you to everyone that's doing that. And I know all of you are not only grateful for that money, but you're making great use of that money to help kids that were affected disproportionately during the pandemic. And speaking about some of that federal money, the state board has made a historic effort to help you with dyslexia and the science of reading. We not only have a dyslexia task force that's wrapping up its work, but those recommendations of how we will roll out assessment and screening and help will impact thousands of Kansans and their efforts to not only teach reading, but to learn how to read going forward. The state board doubled down on that commitment by pledging $15 million to the Science of Reading professional development, available to every single teacher, early childhood and in grades K to 3, also to principals that serve grades pre-K through 3, special education teachers, and even as important as that was, to train students coming out of college so that when they get in our school districts, they will hit the ground running knowing how do we help students that struggle in reading. In addition, the state board partnered with all of you to put more money into fast bridge assessments, into Renaissance assessments, and into state assessments to give better formative looks and lower the cost to school districts so that you can be able to screen students that may be having difficulty not only in reading, but in mathematics and also social emotional. That was a big part of what took place last year. Last summer, State Board approved computer science as a course that locally you have now the option of whether to grant that as a credit for graduation using a math or science credit. I want to thank the State Board and all the people that continue to work on computer science and coding as a new literacy in Kansas. We need more kids in the STEM fields, and we need especially young women and students that are minorities, and anything we can do to double down on our efforts to help kids learn coding and learn that mathematical and scientific reasoning and thinking that leads to great STEM careers. Finally, you know, we went over in 2021, we transitioned from navigating change into navigating next document. The State Board highlighted the school districts of Buhler and Hutchinson for their great work in really managing this pandemic. And we couldn't be more thankful for the hundreds of teachers and educators that put together those documents for everyone in Kansas. We also, I was a part of the Safer Classroom work group that Governor Kelly put together with some of the best doctors in our state from the University of Kansas Medical System, pediatricians, family practitioners, public health officials, as we started to take a look at the data that would drive our classrooms to be the safest possible. One of the outcomes of that all of you have been participating is the test to stay, test to play protocol, making Kansas one of the best in the country, as over 80% of our school districts and 90% of our students participated in testing that allowed students to stay in school even if they were around someone that had contracted the virus. All of those things took place in 2021. Sometimes it's always good to look back because you think, wow, did anything really happen other than we battled this pandemic? And I know we're sick of that, right? As we roll into January of 2022, we thought this pandemic would be long behind us, and yet here we are, still in the middle of the Omicron variant, and we know that cases are still ticking up, and we're still going to have to quarantine, and we're still going to have too many absences around this virus. So we know that wears on you. But let me give you a preview of some of the things coming up in 22 that are really going to start to just move us ahead on the board's vision and help you as we look at how do we help every kid be successful. First of all, sometime around the month of May, the Graduation Task Force is going to present their results to the State Board of Ed. Look this winter and early spring for that task force to come visit a community near you or a social media site or a Zoom site where you can give input to their recommendations that they will take back to the State Board that could impact graduating classes well into the future. I know they're looking at things like life skills and financial literacy and computer science and look at competency versus seat time. They're also looking at market value assets. Are there things in addition to a high school diploma that we should have, such as so many college credit hours? So be looking for that. That'll be coming out in the next few months. We want your input on that, and thank you to those people, all those teachers and those leaders serving on that task force, that graduation task force. We'll see a renewed effort on the board outcomes, and we'll continue to recognize all of you for your outstanding work on those board outcomes. You know, this year we had a school district achieve a medal, if you would, recognition in all 8 of the state board outcomes. Congratulations to Southern Lyon County, the first to do that. We know we're going to have many more in 21-22, and soon we want all of you to be earning those high outstanding pieces of recognition as you're really doubling down on trying to help kids be successful. Now I know you're tired. You got a little bit of break over the holiday time, and now you're ready to come back. And soon we'll be back into the churn of January and February, and it gets a little colder, and the days are still shorter, and you're going to be tired. The virus still hangs on with us and we wish it was over. So this is a time to take care of yourself. It's a time to really physically and mentally prepare yourself for the work that we all have to do together. Kids and families still rely on us every single day. You're the best hope for many kids. And your partnership with families has never been more important. So take care of yourself. Reach out to your friends and family. Reach out to us. Say, here are my needs. Here's what I need today. Here's what I need next week. And together we're going to get through this. You know, last year, Diane Smokorowski, one of our great friends down in Wichita, reached out to me because she was doing virtual field trips, as all of you know, so that people during the pandemic, kids and classes could go on virtual field trips. She reached out and said, Randy, will you use your love of history and knowledge of Kansas, and can we do some Kansas history and spotlight many of the great things going on in Kansas? And we did that. And we went out to talk about John Brown's raid, and we went to the first territorial capital, and we just did lots of great things around Kansas. And throughout our history, if you think about our history, from the early settlers, Kansans are rugged people that have faced hardships. Do you remember when we were all young, playing the Oregon Trail? Remember those games when people were dying on the trail? You know, we stood as a free state surrounded by slave states as we fought the Civil War. We were one of the first states to recognize women in voting. We've done things that have never been easy. They've been hard throughout our history. This is another tough period. By faith in Kansans, and I have faith in Kansas educators, that 2022 is going to be one of our best years yet. So let's bring on 2022. Let's look forward to the things that we have yet to do together, and knowing that we will lead the world in the success of each student. Good luck this school year. Can't wait to see the remarkable things that you all do.